Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. I'm Mahvesh from AppSec Fort Road. Today we will discuss about expansion and contraction in grade 6. Students, you will be able to use the particle models to explain expansion and contraction of solids, liquids and gases. Before starting our lecture, let's think about some questions. Number 1. What is the effect of temperature on the movement of particles? We have already discussed this question in our previous lecture. Next, what happens to water when it is heated? Is it changed into gas or vapors? Okay. Will the volume of a solid increase or decrease on heating? Let's find the answer for these questions. Okay, what is expansion and contraction? Expansion. Expansion means to expand something or to get bigger in size when you provide heat. And on cooling, the opposite will happen. Means the things will get smaller or they will contract. This is called contraction. Let's discuss about expansion and contraction takes place in solids, liquids and gases. So the question is how expansion takes place when you provide heat. This happens because heating gives atoms and molecules more energy. This causes them to move faster and collide with each other with greater force. And this makes them move further apart. The increase in the space, or you can say the increase in the volume between the particles, will cause them to expand. Exactly the opposite will happen when you cool the solid, liquid or gas, or when you are going to provide less heat. Next, the question is why solid, liquid and gases expand? The students, they expand because of increase in space between the particles. How it's happened? When you provide heat, the attractive forces between the molecules will get weaker and all the molecules will get separate from each other. When they will get separate, they will take more space. The volume will increase. So you can say they will expand. And the very important statement that gases expand more than liquids and liquids expand more than solids. Why is it so? Because gases have much space between the particles as compared to liquids, and liquids have much space between the particles as compared to solids. So solid will expand lesser than liquids and gases. We will discuss expansion in solids, liquids and gases. So let's start from expansion in solids. As you can see in this diagram, students, a solid expand when heated and contract when cooled. You can see in this diagram a bar and a gap is given. When the metal bar is cooled, it slips into its place or its gap very easily. But when bar is heated, it will not. Why? Because after it has been heated, the bar is too big to fit in. It will expand after heating. That's why now it is not possible for the bar to fit it into the place. Another example is ball and ring. As you can see in this diagram, on the left side, before heating the ball, you can see, students, the ball moves easily from the ring. But on the right side, after heating, it is not able to move from the ring. Why? Because now the size of the ball is increased. It gets expand due to heating. That's why it is not possible for the ball to move from the ring easily. That's how expansion takes place in the solids. Okay, next is expansion in liquids. Students, in this diagram, you can see on the left side you have a flask which have colored water, but here the flask is put into the cold water. Next, on the right side you have colored water flask, but in this case flask is put into hot water. So what happened? The water will expand when you put the flask in the hot water, and the level of water is rises. You can see in the arrow above in the diagram and in dotted line as well. Students, in the left figure you can see the level of water is low. अब डॉटेड लाइन को देखें, डॉटेड लाइन नेक्स्ट राइट साइड पे देखें, जो लेवल है वाटर का, इट इज राइजेस अप टू द एरो. Why is it so? Why the level of water rises? Because now the water in the flask is expand because you are going to provide the heat through hot water. Is it clear? Another best example of expansion in liquid is the thermometer. Students, as you know, mercury is present in the thermometer. It is in liquid state. What happens when you have fever? The level of mercury is rises. When your body temperature is high, because of that heat, because of that temperature, the level of mercury will rises in the thermometer, and by observing the level of mercury you can check that how much temperature, how much fever you have. Okay, next is expansion in gases. As you know, students, the particles of the gases already have much more space between them and they can easily move in any direction. So a very little heat, or you can say the heat of your hand, is enough to make the gas to expand in a test tube. And as the gas in the test tube expand, some of it escapes as well. And you can easily see the bubbles of that gas when you put that gas bubbles in the water, or when you put the gas or the test tube in the beaker of water. Okay, what is kinetic theory of gases? The word kinetic comes from a Greek word that means moving. So the idea that substances are made up of very tiny moving particles, it is called kinetic theory of gases. Means all the particles, whether they are in the solid, liquid or gases, they are in the moving condition. Although the movement in the solid is very less, they only vibrate in their position, but the movement of the liquid and gases, it's very prominent. That's why they elaborate the movement of particles in kinetic theory of gases. It's a time to recap that what we have learned today. So we have learned about the expansion and contraction in solids, liquids and gases with the help of examples. We have discussed expansion in solids with the help of metal bar, and in the liquids we have discussed it with the help of colored water flask and a thermometer, and in the gases as well. And in last we have discussed about the kinetic theory of matter. So students, it's the end of my lecture. If you have any question, if you have any issue, you are more than welcome. You can ask.